Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Glasgow for the MSEM format. I'm Caillou. Today we're going to be watching the round 3 match between HerziQuerzi, who's playing green-blue Landstorm, and Cyber, who is playing Grixis, Loathing, Malice, which is essentially an aggressive tempo deck. We're definitely seeing the aggression coming here with the turn 1 Jara champion from Cyber. Like the other champion cards, only can attack or block alone, but steadily grows each turn, especially with the ability to ping on both players' turns. Usually can ping yourself by using the shock fetches or pain lands like this one. So now Jar Champion grows into a 2/2. Cyber's going to tap out her possibility engine, which allows them to essentially draw more cards as soon as they have 4 lands. But yeah, and this Jar Champion is also probably going to grow. I think Herzi has mostly basics, but does have a few Wayfarer Shrines, which can also, or that Mysterious Cataract, which is another shock, which is a shock fetch, which will turn on this Jar Champion, if Cyber remembers the trigger, of course. But yeah, last turn Herzi cast a Seek Prophecy and grabbed a, well, not this one, but I was about to say grabbed a 1-mana Landora. So still has another in addition to the Sowing Spring and Prismatic Leyline. So how Herzi's deck works is it just puts a bunch of mana auras on a single land, and then plays a bunch of cantripping permanent untappers, and aims to go off that way. Cyber's deck has interaction, but like the main thing is you want to stop these auras from coming down in the first place or destroy this land. Neither of which I believe Cyber can do main deck. For now, it's just going to swing in for an additional 3 and then pass. It does have some mana up. I don't know what counterspells Cyber has main. Looks like the only counterspell Cyber could have is a Portal Fracture, which if Herzi generates enough mana, really won't be enough because it's only a taxing counterspell. And even then, Cyber only has 2 copies of those. So Herzi's going to play a Rejuvenation, untap all of their cards. But Cyber, even with a Portal Fracture here, won't be able to counter this. So he goes positive 2 mana with that and draws a card. Oh no, and has a Moonlit Hunter. This is what really makes Herzi's ability to go off like shine. Moonlit Hunter not only basically pays for itself when you cast it, so it's essentially free because of the untap trigger. It also essentially doubles your mana. So Cyber is gonna crack the shock fetch and does have the Portal Fracture. Herzi will be able to pay, but I guess Cyber's just hoping that Herzi won't have the... Yeah, so Herzi's just going to pay for it, but Cyber's just hoping that putting Herzi down 2 mana while they're going off could help. So gets to untap the island. Essentially goes 1 mana negative, but it's entirely worth it if you have a bunch of non-creature spells because it just doubles your mana. Okay, you're going to play Seek Prophecy, digs 3 cards deep, and goes 2 mana positive. This is going to grab a Sowing Spring and mills a Slightly Mad and a Primal Resurgence. Does, like, playing more land auras onto the island does help, and is going to play a Reconsider, just cycle it, and it goes plus 2 mana. And milling the Slightly Mad doesn't matter right now at this point, because Herzi does have a Legends Remembered, which is essentially a regrowth effect. And, oh god, here comes Buoyant Thoughts. So this is one of the cards, along with Entalon Erasure, that it just kind of like goes over the top when you're going off, because you refill your hand, and you manage to untap 2 lands, which generally means that you go even more mana positive than you would with a regular untapper. So Herzi's once again going to Reconsider, cycle into something else, has a bunch of mana, just needs other ways to draw. And the Buoyant Thoughts putting Herzi at 6 cards hopefully will help with that. And there's an Entalon Erasure. This is another way that Herzi can put one of those Slightly Mads back into their deck. And then Seek Prophecy, digging even deeper. Oh, and there's a Conjure Realities, milling a Buoyant Thoughts and an island. But yeah, with Conjure Realities, I think Herzi can just win at this point. because Herzi conjures reality for a Legends Remembered, grabs a Legends Remembered, plays it, grabs back conjure realities, searches for another Legends Remembered, then just loops a Legends Remembered for infinite mana, and then as long as Herzi has, and then Herzi can conjure realities for a Slightly Mad. So yeah, just mills Cyber out, and that's game one, I think. Cyber just loses. Yup, and the reason the Legends Remembered looping is even possible is because of the Moonlit Hunter, because each time you cast Legends Remembered, you go mana positive instead of losing mana, because you just keep untapping that one land. But yeah, that was a crazy game one. And the problem was Cyber didn't have the interaction or the clock to be able to beat Herzi there. Let's see if Cyber can bring something in from the side to help out with that. So Thought Blossom is an easy bring-in because you can cast it against the Slightly Mad, and Herzi's only interaction is 3 Reconsiders. So as long as you are able to keep up 4 mana, you can stop Herzi from going off. Negate is good for similar reasons. The Careless Violence and Reign of Madness are for the aggro matchup. But yeah, I could definitely see bringing in Thoughtless Blossom, Negate, probably take out the Scorches, maybe, because I guess they do go face, but okay, definitely take out the Turn to Gold, because Moonlit Hunter has flash, Herzi's never gonna play it before they go off, and so your instant speed removal is like in the form of Rogar's Frenzy is what Cyber needs. So I think the Turn to Gold, and then maybe some of like the mid-rangey cards like Possibility Engine can come out, because really you are not going to be like playing this game like your games are going to be won or lost incredibly quickly, and Possibility Engine is really only good in a grindy game. Like Cyber did not even get to turn 4 right there to even have the chance to turn on Wanderlust. So Possibility Engine, Turn to Gold, I'm not sure what else, in for some number of Thought Blossom and Negate. Meanwhile, for Herzi, the stand unassailable are for aggro. Might bring in 1 or 2 just because Cyber's got a quick clock sometime, but I doubt it. I think you just try to race with your combo. Yeah, I don't think Herzi really needs to bring in anything from the side. I think they're pretty well teched out main. Not having any way to stop Cyber's counterspells is a problem, but I think if Herzi plays patiently, can like just cantrip for the first few turns and draw into their counter magic, and then try to go off. So starting off, Cyber plays Frostfire Geysers and passes, while Herzi plays a Seek Prophecy, grabbing another Seek Prophecy, milling a Shifting Terrain and a Rejuvenation. So does seem like Herzi is on the I am going to cantrip, I'm going to steadily cantrip plan. Because I think if you really wanted to maximize going off, Herzi probably would have grabbed a Rejuvenation or the Shifting Terrain, unless Herzi already has copies of those cards. So Cyber definitely playing more reactively thus far. Play a land and pass. Herzi's going to try to run out of Prismatic Leyline. It looks like Cyber is going to counter this. And yeah, if you don't have land destruction, this is one of the best ways to fight Landstorm. Just counter all of their land auras. Because no land auras means no mana positivity. And there's the negate from the side. Yup. Herzi can still Seek Prophecy right here. It is going to do so. Grabbing a Soughing Spring and milling the Slightly Mad and Shifting Terrain. So yeah, I guess Herzi's just trying to grab as many land auras as they can so that they can resolve at least 1 or 2 of them before going off. And milling another Shifting Terrain tells me that Herzi probably has like an untapper or 2 in hand already, and is just trying to get a land aura past Cyber's interaction. So Cyber's going to play another Magmatic Torrent, really hammering their own life total, but it really doesn't matter because Herzi's not going to be pressuring it. So for now, does Cyber have the Jara Champion? That's what this is signaling. Yeah, it has the Jara Champion, and this is a really good place for Cyber to be at. Has 2 mana up for interaction. The Jara Champion presents a clock. Herzi once again trying to run out of Prismatic Leyline. Oh, and Cyber's letting it happen. And Soughing Spring? Yup, this is 2 land auras on a single land. And Cyber's letting this resolve as well. Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem for sure. On end, Cyber's just going to tap the Murmuring Frauds for mana, mainly because it pings them for 1, and then grows the Jara Champion. he's going to swing in for 2. Is not going to tap any of their mana, which is interesting because it means probably that Cyber has multiple pieces of interaction at instant speed here. On upkeeps, Herzi's going to crack the Mysterious Cataract, and yet another basic forest. Another reason maybe that Cyber is keeping up so much mana is the worry of Moonlit Hunter tapping down the Cyber's mana and preventing them from responding. But yeah, Herzi's just going to play a 3rd land aura, the Primal Resurgence on the island. And god, a 4th mana aura, the Soughing Spring. I don't think Cyber has any land destruction, so Herzi can really go ham on this one land. And now that Herzi's resolved so many land auras, I don't know what Cyber can do. Like, maybe Cyber just has a Thought Blossom, or like Thought Blossom plus a negate, and it's like, even if Herzi goes off, I can just counter their final result. And unless Herzi has... But I guess the problem is, I think if Herzi goes off, they can just find all 3 copies of Reconsider and cast all 3 copies. So, once again, on end, Cyber's just going to grow the Jara champion. Notably, Herzi is tapped out here, so Cyber doesn't have to worry about a flashed-in Moonlit Hunter. So we're going to pay 1 for Seek Prophecy, growing Jara champion in the process. Gonna grab a Rogar's Frenzy, which both functions as interaction for a Moonlit Hunter and also just hits face. And then swinging for 4 with the Jara. So if this continues, Herzi is dead in like 2 turns basically. But definitely can go off before then with the crazy amount of auras that they have on this single land. So it looks like Herzi is gonna pass once again. Not trying to go off for some reason. And Cyber on end is once again going to grow the Jara champion into a 5/5 this time. Swing for 5. On end, Cyber can grow the Jara champion into a 7/7, and then swing for a total and swing for 7, and then Rogar's Frenzy. So Cyber can kill Herzi next turn. On end though, Herzi's going to Shifting Terrain, attempting to tap down this Frostfire Geysers. Cyber's going to let it happen. Going to float blue in response. And is going to use that floated blue plus this to Rogar's Frenzy face. This means, though, that Cyber is down to 1 piece of interaction and cannot pay for a Reconsider. So definitely not a good position. Wow, and it looks like Herzi just hella bricked. Had Primal Resurgence and Prismatic Leyline, just no untappers. I really assumed that Herzi ditching all of those untappers with the Seek Prophecies meant that they already had them in hand. But it looks like Herzi was just attempting to turbo aura out and didn't have anything. So we're going to a game 3. I almost feel like Herzi should have saved the Shifting Terrain to untap their own land, but I guess it wouldn't have mattered because they wouldn't have hit anything off of the cantrip. Okay, so going to game 3, Herzi does not have a turn 1 land aura. But on the flip side, Cyber doesn't have a turn 1 play either, just going to play Shardstone Rift tapped and pass. Really, the best way for Cyber to start off is just, again, turn 1 Jara champion into holding up interaction is just how Cyber wins these games. But turn 2, Herzi already has 2 mana auras on this island. Just Primal Resurgence plus Sleeping Dryads. Not looking good. Could even get a turn 3 depending on how nutty the rest of Herzi's hand is looking. Cyber's just going to play the Murmuring Falls and then pass. Going to run out of Seek Prophecy. Notably does not have any more blue mana this turn, and therefore cannot go off. So we'll need to wait at least a turn. And is going to grab an Entulon Erasure, milling a Soughing Spring, and a Sleeping Dryads. He already has 2 mana auras. And Entulon Erasure is just crazy when you start going off. And wow, Herzi's going to run out of Rejuvenation. I guess is dead set on going off this turn. It looks like Cyber does have the counter magic though. This looks like a Thought Blossom. Or a Portal Fracture, one of the 2. Yup, here comes a Thought Blossom. So Herzi is not going off this turn. And Cyber gets to yoink the Rejuvenation if they ever want it. And Cyber on their turn is going to run out of Seek Prophecy as well. Definitely needs a threat at this point, or maybe the Thought Blossom was their only interaction. Well, it's definitely the threat then. Gonna grab a Performer of Desire. Milling an Intrepid and Negate. Milling the Negate really surprises me here, actually. Because I feel like you just want a good concentration of counter magic versus Herzi. This tells me that Cyber probably has already got it. Like, already has counter magic. And can crack the Shardstone Rift for a blue land to use to... like a blue jewel to cast that counter magic with. So Herzi is going to try to run out a Moonlit Hunter. If Cyber doesn't have the Portal Fracture here, this resolves. And it does. And this is step one of Cyber going off. Or sorry, Herzi going off. And gets to tap Cyber's Swamp with the ETB trigger. So I guess in response, Cyber is going to crack for a mountain. Rogar's Frenzy. Yup, is going to Rogar's Frenzy the Moonlit Hunter. So it doesn't stop the untap trigger on Herzi's Island. So basically Herzi only goes -1 mana. But does stop Herzi from using this Moonlit Hunter to generate insane amounts of mana. And it looks like Herzi's just going to pass after that. So Cyber's also going to pass. But on end, Herzi's going to try and Shifting Terrain on the Murmuring Falls. Cyber doesn't have a response to that, so it's just going to get tapped down. This does put Cyber off of any counterspell-based interaction, in case Herzi wants to try and go off. And can definitely go off without a Moonlit Hunter, we've seen it before. Moonlit Hunter just makes it trivially easy. And just a hard Entalon Erasure before anything else? I think this is the first time I've seen this. Usually you play this like once you've got some stuff and before you like when you start to brick. But like, oh my god. Notably this does draw Cyber into 7 more cards. I don't know, let's see how this goes. Herzi only has 2 other mana up. So Herzi's going to discard 2 mana auras and a Mysterious Cataract. Let's hope for their sake that the rest of them are untappers/cantrips. Well, one of them is a forest. I guess 1 extra mana isn't bad, but also, yikes. If Herzi just passes here, they're going to be very, very behind. Okay, so Herzi does have a Shifting Terrain. Is going to target their mana aura'd up island, which will let them go +1. And then it's just going to pass after that. That is a problem. Cyber has a fresh new 7-card hand, 8 cards not that they drew for turn. Yeah, Herzi is really, like, these past 2 games has been bricking like crazy. And wow, Cyber's like, you know what, I have not drawn enough cards. I am going to dig deeper. Gonna grab a Thought Blossom, and then mill the Rogar's Frenzy and an Icon Troubleshooter. Notably, Rogar's Frenzy does generate tokens from the grave. So, in the event that Herzi doesn't have anything that Cyber needs to counter next turn, Cyber can exile the Rogar's Frenzy from grave at instant speed, and then start putting on beats. Also, playing the Shardstone Rift and not cracking it makes a lot of sense, because if Herzi tries to do the good old tap down your card trick, Cyber can crack the Shardstone Rift in response, which it looks like Herzi will be doing with this Moonlit Hunter. The Moonlit Hunter does resolve, and has Entalon Erasure number 2. So Herzi knows that Cyber has the Thought Blossom though, but I guess it's just Hail Marying, because Herzi forgot the Moonlit Hunter ETB trigger. That could be make or break. Like, Herzi missing the Moonlit Hunter ETB trigger, I think just screwed them. But yeah, gonna yoink an Entalon Erasure from Herzi with this Thought Blossom. Herzi's down to 1 card in hand, and I don't think that Herzi, even with the Moonlit Hunter resolved, what could that 1 card be that with 3 mana Herzi could go off this turn? Oh, and it's gonna cycle a Reconsider. Once again, goes 1 mana positive with this one, and has a Sowing Spring. Does have the Sleeping Dryads if Herzi wants to, and can sack that if Herzi wants to keep going. Herzi is going to do that. He's going to sack the Sleeping Dryads. Kind of desperate because, again, Herzi's down, like, I don't think Herzi can even cast a Buoyant Thoughts at this point. But it looks like Herzi's just still hitting gas. He's going to Seek Prophecy. Once again, net 2 mana. Oh my god, it hits a Seek Prophecy off of the Seek Prophecy, and therefore, by the Prophecy mechanic, is going to pay 1 and exile it. and so can cast it from exile. Yep, it's going to cast the Seek Prophecy. This one only goes 1 mana positive because I had to pay 2 for it. But hey, it's still digging. I can't believe Herzi's doing this and grabs a Conjure Realities. Oh my god. I can't believe Herzi is doing this off of literally 1 card left in hand. And then I think with this Conjure Realities, I think Herzi just wins, right? Because they have the extra mana and can do the Legends Remembered loop. Yeah. And then Herzi just Legends Remembered loops, gets infinite mana, and then mills Cyber's entire library. And that's it. Herzi takes it 2-1 over Cyber, even after being at 1 card in hand, even after the missed trigger from the Moonlit Hunter. Oh my god. Herzi just clutching it out with those repeated top decks off of the Reconsider, and then the cracking of the Sleeping Dryads, and then the Seek Prophecy. Just, it all somehow came together and Herzi didn't brick. But yeah, good games to both players. Herzi on Landstorm, I think, is now either up 2-1 or 3-0. So is definitely in contention for winning this entire GP. But yeah, good games, and until next time, this is Caillou signing off.